Wie baut man intuitive Services? Wie entwickelt man die perfekte Customer Journey für Versicherte? Wir wissen, wie es geht. Denn wir sind IBM X, euer Partner für Digitalisierung. Von Beratung und Strategie bis zu Design und technischer Umsetzung. Mit euch gemeinsam gestalten wir Produkte und Services von morgen. Erfahre jetzt mehr auf ibmx.de.
This is the Digital Insurance Podcast. In exciting interviews, we talk to the leading experts about the latest developments, trends, and technologies for the digital transformation in the insurance industry. Welcome back to the second part of our two-piece Insurtech Insights series, recorded live at the biggest Insurtech event in Europe, held in the vibrant city of London. I'm your host, Alex, and I'm thrilled to be bringing you interviews with some of the most insightful and influential keynote speakers and industry leaders from the event. In our previous episode, we discussed the exciting developments and emerging trends in the insurance industry as it moves forward towards digitalisation. However, the transition to the digital era is not without its challenges. In this episode, we will focus on the obstacles that stand in the way of transforming the insurance industry into a fully digitalised space. We will explore specific hurdles that the industry faces currently and highlight potential solutions to overcome them. Moreover, we will look at how other industries have tackled similar challenges and what lessons the insurance industry can learn from them. With a rapid pace of technological advancement and the changing landscape of consumer expectations, it is crucial for the insurer to embrace digitalization and adapt to the evolving needs of its customers. So join us as we delve deeper into the obstacles and opportunities for digital transformation in the insurance industry and discover how it can learn from other industries on its journey towards a more digital future. There are several obstacles that are currently hindering the digitalization of the insurance industry. Some of these include legacy systems. Many insurance companies are still using outdated legacy systems that are not equipped to handle the demands of the modern digital world. These systems can be difficult to integrate with newer technologies and can impede the adoption of more advanced digital solutions. This is also something that Raphael Schmid, Chief Specialty Officer at Aon Switzerland, sees.
Legacy, it's not in the DNA of insurers. Business model is very traditional. We're in this city where insurance became big. We're in London right now. So it really is a legacy issue. I think it's a transformational mind change that has to occur with big carriers. And I think a conference like the Insurtech Insights Conference here helps tremendously to bring insurance and technology much closer together to overcome those hurdles, overcome those obstacles.
This opinion is also shared by Stefano Bison, Group Head of Business Development and Partnerships at Generali.
The second legacy is IT. Insurance IT systems, and I'm not talking about Generalis necessarily, I'm talking about the sector, and as a consultant in my previous life, I've seen a few. They're super old. These systems are so old, and touching them, especially the core system, it's so risky. It can create so much disruption and issues that everybody is sort of scared of massively innovating over there. And this is a big block, no? So what is happening, what we are trying to do, for example, is building systems aside the traditional legacy ones so that you can start, testing, prototyping, and building something in parallel, and then potentially in the future for some line of business or some business model, potentially switch to the new one. But there's so much cultural and technological legacy that is really, I think these two are the main roadblocks.
He also adds two more points which focus on people and culture and the industry agents.
It's cultural, first of all. It depends. Oftentimes it's down to people. And if top management, the insurance sector probably has an average top management of, 55 to 60, if not above. And, if top management is not really understanding the technology game, is not really understanding the platform economics, this has a massive impact on the whole organization. So first of all, I would say it's cultural. Organizations are working on that, but ultimately, markets are pushing the whole sector, any listed company, not only insurers, to be somehow short-term focused. Top management are chosen because they can meet that kind of incentives and because they work in that game. So this is a first big obstacle. So what I'm trying to say is that the overall system is wired and incentivized around keeping the things more or less as they are and keep producing dividends. If you want to really transform the business, you have to play a different game, which is probably not so cash generative in the short term, and take some bets that can be very risky. It's more a risk or a factor that you should consider in the transformation is our agents. Because agents are at the same time those that make us survive. They're the one making the sale. They're the one serving the customer. At the same time are, in all honesty, something that is holding us back, somehow slowing us down now. Because, if you digitize too much, they could get somehow disintermediated. And given that they are such an important asset for the insurer, you don't want to upset them. So this is something that needs to be managed. As I said, insurance is going to stay, I believe at least, is going to stay multi-channel, but this change is going to impact agents, it's going to impact their lives, their customers, so we need to make it smooth and manage that.
This leads to the bigger obstacle, which is the resistance to change. The insurance industry is a traditionally conservative sector that has been slow to embrace change. This resistance to change can make it difficult for companies to adopt to new technologies and processes that are necessary for digitalization. Martin Mikko, CEO and founder of Omnius, sees the obstacles in the following way.
In moments of paradigm shifts, the biggest obstacle is always culture. So, do you have the right people? Do you have the right skills? Are you brave enough also to take risks? And that's also from what we observe is the biggest obstacle in this phase of transformation, in this phase of transforming itself combined with technology. And that's going to be an interesting journey for all parties involved.
Monique Rodriguez, CFO of Revolut Insurance, adds to that.
I guess the biggest obstacle is companies not necessarily seeing the benefit of digitalization. That was the historic obstacle, although the pandemic forced digitalization onto everyone else. Now companies are faced with actually implementing that. How do they make that real? And that is all the way from having the vision, incorporating it into the strategy, having a map, having focused resources to then implement that digitalization. That's really where the struggle is at the moment.
Change management, not only in IT but also in different areas of the business, is something that needs to be focused on, according to Roman Rittweger, Aufsichtsrat at Otto Nova.
I think this depends on what kind of insurers you're talking about. If you talk about the old incumbents, I think the biggest obstacle for them is not only their old IT infrastructure, but it's the mindset. So I think change management is probably asked for not only a change of the IT infrastructure. If you're talking about the insurtechs, it's growing quickly enough to become profitable, and then growing quickly enough to, after that, to become a real threat in the market for the big insurers. And so financing that growth, finding ways to grow quickly will be the main challenge for the smaller insurers.
Toma Kashi, co-founder and CEO of Voom Insurance, describes how it is harder to innovate for big companies.
In my mind, insurance companies, in many cases, and I have tons of respect to insurance companies, they're huge companies. So it's very hard to innovate in general, but potentially product innovation is one of the toughest of problems because it's very interdisciplinary. You have the actuaries and the IT from the 80s and the underwriting and compliance and sales and channel conflicts. It's very, very hard. So many insurance companies, they innovate in car insurance or home insurance, sometimes in small business insurance, but they are leaving a lot of other segments behind. And it's not the segments are left behind, the customers are left behind. So think about insurance for motorcycles, insurance for commercial drones, insurance for e-scooters, insurance for the gig economy. All of these segments, it's very hard to innovate them. Big incumbents, they just don't get it. Although they have the capabilities, just too small for them to matter and to operate, and the customers are left behind.
Open-mindedness is something that is needed to change one of the obstacles that Sarah Werner, co-founder and CEO of Husmus, notes.
I think insurance companies need to be a little bit more open-minded, and build that trust with their users. I think that's the key for me to, at least certainly that's what I'm seeing in other industries that they're doing, to get really close to their customers and build communities around it. Because let's face it, insurance by itself is exceptionally boring. I mean, nobody likes to buy it, but everybody needs it. And so if you don't transform yourself to becoming a customer partner, you might find yourself left behind.
The effect of people and culture will also play a large role in the workforce of insurers. Jantana Kempra-Kamroy, Chief Executive Officer of Tapoli, notes this as well.
People. So it's basically culture. It's down to culture and the resistance to change. So I think that is one of the biggest obstacles.
Merlin Bates, Head of Content at ITC Europe, mentioned the following.
So I think that, the people part of it is always going to be a big obstacle. I think if you've ever been at a company at a sort of, boots on the ground level where someone's implemented a CRM system, you've probably gone, well, I've been using a spreadsheet that works really quickly, and now I have to input all this data into CRM system. Obviously, for the executives, they're hugely important to know, where your customers are, what all that data looks like. So I think right now, not that there aren't the people to do it or that the people aren't capable of doing it, but we look at the global workforce issues that there are right now. We've had the great resignation, the great reshuffle, the great evaluation, whatever we want to call it. I mean, in insurance, there's this rather damning statistic or scary statistic about, in the next couple of years, a large proportion of the insurance industry is going to retire. So in the insurance industry, we've got the great retirement. So it's, can the insurance industry attract enough people to really enact those changes, as well as, simplify operations, streamline, automate, and all of the stuff that technology brings with it?
For the people working in insurance, there is a need to broaden their minds to technology for the industry to evolve, as Mark Klein, Chief Digital Officer at Ergo Group, mentioned.
It is similar to the digital transformation. The key obstacle we see is the cultural transformation that has to come with it, that people have to open up their minds, be open to adapt to new technology. It's not really the technology itself. For sure, also regulation, we have to have a closer look at. We are very regulated. But for me, the most important hurdle is the cultural transformation, and to take all the customers, but also the employees of a company with you on this transformation path.
With that comes the importance to focus on talent development, like Susan Winkler, Vice President and Executive Director at Connecticut Insurance and Financial Services, tells us.
I would say across the board, it's talent development. What are we doing with that next-gen talent? Distributed workforce post-pandemic has allowed most insurance companies to hire anywhere. Mm-hmm. And I think when you're looking at building a culture, building a reason to be part of an insurance ecosystem company, it's difficult now to figure out how to build that, how to make and build talent young in to say, yeah, I want to work for this company. I want to work for this industry. When before, insurance was an old business. So I think it's incumbent upon right now, the biggest issue we have is to change that messaging to the young people to say, insurance is everything from your cell phone to your online banking, to your smart home, the risk you take when you leave outside your home, and your health. How are you keeping healthy and going forward and living a long, productive, and financially sound life? So all of that is really now the pure messaging of the insurance industry and what the biggest priority is, in my opinion.
The acceptance of failure is also a very important topic that we need to talk about, and that Florian Graillot, investor at Astoria VC, and Esther Prax, program director at ITHM, state.
I think that if you want to embrace technology, you need to test things. And if you want to innovate, you need also to take risks. And I think that it's the opposite of insurance, because by design, insurance companies are trying to cover the risk. So I think that the major challenge for insurance company is to accept that they will fail. So if you accept that you will fail, then you can test things. You can learn from things that are working. You can learn also from things that doesn't work. So I really think that the major obstacle is a kind of cultural change that is required in insurance, where again, you need to accept to fail on several projects and obviously learn from this failure. So cultural change is the major challenge for insurance to embrace technology.
I think it's still the fear of failure, or maybe the fear of putting the time in to learn. There are a lot of technologies out there. There's a lot of promise around the technologies, but in the end, it's about executing on the technologies. And executing on them takes time. It takes learning. You have to actually apply it. It won't work from the beginning. You have to find the right use cases. So I particularly like what Mark Klein said of Ergo in a speech here at Insurtech Insights, where he shared very openly about how Ergo learned about the metaverse, how they learned about stuff that having VR glasses on for 1.5 hours actually gives you a headache. Really concrete things. There's no theory behind it of let's use VR glasses for 3-hour training. No, they tried it out. They learned that after 1.5 hours, that's it. And I think I think there's more and more willingness to go through these learnings. But I think that maybe it's still in the insurance industry, I think that putting that time in for the learnings without an immediate result still really is a barrier to the real digital transformation.
Another point that has been discussed is the lack of data. Insurance companies often struggle with collecting and managing vast amounts of data that are necessary for the effective implementation of digital solutions. This can be particularly challenging in cases where data is stored in silos or not easily accessible, like Pierangelo Campopiano, the CEO of Smile Insurance, tells us.
I think one of the biggest obstacles is the data. I see a lot of companies also acquiring services from other companies, developing services, but most of the time those services are isolated data hubs and they rarely have a holistic view on all those services. Going also a service to sales strategy, this gets even more important that you have a 360 view on the customer, not only on product, but also on services.
Additional obstacles that slow the process of digital transformation in insurance down are, of course, regulatory compliance. The insurance industry is heavily regulated, and companies need to comply with a range of complex rules and regulations. This can make it difficult to implement digital solutions that may not yet be fully understood by regulators. And in addition, there are also cybersecurity concerns. With the increasing amount of data that has been collected and stored digitally, cybersecurity has become a significant concern for the insurance industry. Companies need to ensure that they have robust security measures in place to protect sensitive data from cyber threats. Overcoming these obstacles will require a concerted effort from insurance companies, regulators, and other stakeholders. Companies will need to invest in modernizing their technology infrastructure, adopting new processes, and developing a culture that is more open to change. Additionally, regulators will need to work with the industry to create an environment that fosters innovation while maintaining regulatory compliance. The insurance industry can learn several valuable lessons from other industries, especially when it comes to digitalization. Some of these include embracing customer centricity. The retail industry has long recognized the importance of putting the customer at the center of their operations. Insurers can learn from this industry by adopting a more customer-centric approach to their business. This could involve using data analytics to gain insights into customer behavior and preferences, offering personalized products and services, and delivering a seamless digital customer experience. Danilo Rapponi, Group Head of Innovation at Generali, notes the customer experience as one of the things that the industry is lagging behind in and could learn from e-commerce.
Well, we're still behind in, for example, the adoption of latest technologies. We have still strong and old IT legacy systems, and we are also behind other industries when it comes, for example, to customer experience. Right? We need to make sure the customer experience is much more satisfying, rewarding for our customers than it is currently. I think there's a lot we can learn, and also I think we should be also open to working with partners from other industries, right? Because there are some of them, like for example, e-commerce, right, that they offer a seamless journey from end to end, when you're purchasing something or where you are accessing services. And I think here the value that the insurers can bring is not so much only with insurance products, but with value-added services on top of it.
Selina Bilton of Lucango focuses on putting the customer experience first and basically having the insurance wrapping around it.
So I'm really new into the insurance industry. I come from FMCG, I come from technology, I come from retail. very new into insurance. And there was so much that I think the industry can learn, particularly around customer experience. How do you actually give customers what it is that they want and what it is that they need? And I think the insurance industries are a little bit fusty, dusty and crusty still. They can learn a lot, they can modernize, and they can use digital transformation to do that.
Sarah Werner, co-founder and CEO of Husmus, also mentioned that insurance could learn a lot from retail.
I think retail do an exceptionally great job at getting to know their users, their habits, what they like, what they don't, and they respond really quickly to their needs. And I think that is what insurance company needs, because right now they just are too used to selling the same products that they've always sold. They don't respond to user needs the way that retail can and does swiftly. So I think that actually is the industry that insurance should be looking at.
Martin Micko, CEO and co-founder of Omnius, adds the following.
We are currently preparing also podcast sessions to that topic. And we think, there are other industries that already went through these type of paradigm shifts in the last, decades. I mean, if you take retail industry and all the service related incidents, in the past, they were very much a labor and cumbersome type of process. And now if you look at Amazon, honestly, whenever I had an incident, it worked really well. And so they managed to transform themselves from a labor intense type of problem handling towards a customer focused type of resolution of your problem. And at the very end, what's the difference between an Amazon service incident to a claim from an insurance? Well, there's hardly any. And there's other examples as well. But at the very end, you might also look into banking. You might also look into, that, some products will disappear anyhow because, generation Z or Alpha, they won't buy a car anymore, but they're going to rent a car. And with that at hand, you don't need an insurance product itself anymore because your insurance is going to be part of a bigger package, a bigger value proposition. And all of that is going to be really exciting. And that's why I love working in this industry.
The user and customer need is something that Esther Prax, program director of ITHM, notes as well.
I think what they can learn from different industries is customer obsession. So really creating delightful customer experiences without tying it immediately to the sell. And this is something that, for example, I'm going to take an example that's really far away from the insurance industry, is something I personally love as a customer, is Spotify Wrapped. Spotify Wrapped just gives you a great customer delight. At the end of the year, they analyze your customer data. They tell you what you listen to. You have an emotional experience. You say, I remember this year was all about heartbreak. So I listened to a lot of heartbreak songs. And there's no sell. There is no, now upgrade your Spotify Premium to Premium Plus or whatever. It's purely around emotional bonding, around the customer experience. Now, music is a very emotional product. I know if you've heard those answers before, but if you look at the fintech industry, I think finance and banking also managed to, in a way, to become more emotional, to tie customers more to them, to put customer obsession at the center in simplifying, for example, complex fields such as trading with Trade Republic, for example, simplifying it, making it very transparent and giving the customer immediate feedback of how they're performing, what's happening, giving them some tips. To really just put the emotional experience and the customer obsession in the center of it.
The closeness to the customer is something that the insurance industry is still lagging, as Oliver Vernier, VP of Strategy at Imbers, states.
Learning so much about tackling those obstacles, let's say operational efficiency or distribution, has to start with learning from other industries that they succeeded once they got closer to the customer. Take streaming, for example. You used to have to go into a store to go rent a video, which means before you had to go to an electronics store to go buy a video machine. Then you had to buy the right video machine to even play the right format. And that's a nightmare. Today, you go to a website and you type a name, you search for a video, and it plays regardless of which device. Is it small? Is it a phone? Is it a laptop? Is it a TV? Is it a smart TV? You've taken all that complexity out because you try to get closer to the customer, saying, how are they going to experience it? So learning from other industries is understand, what did they have to do to change that mindset and how do you put the customer in the middle, not your tech and your perceived IP. And I think that's what they need to look at, other industries, how they broke that down.
Another valuable lesson that can be learned is the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Other industries such as finance have been quick to adopt artificial intelligence and machine learning to improve processes, reduce costs, and enhance customer experiences. Insurers can learn from these industries by using these technologies to automate manual processes, improve underwriting and claims handling, and deliver more personalized products and services. This is something that Tomakashi, co-founder and CEO of Voom Insurance, added to the questions.
Trivial answer would be banking. I would say e-commerce. I think that, e-commerce is like, B2C to perfection. And this is, I think, an industry that a lot of things could be learned from, and how you utilize machine learning in order to provide like the best of breed customer service. And that's definitely an area that insurers could learn from.
The same goes for payment, which Amit Batsia, co-founder of Spot, mentioned.
So we see, I think, more innovation in different industries. In the insurance industry, we see a lot of innovation in very specific areas, but we don't see it move as fast as other industries. I originally come from the payment industry. I worked for PayPal for many years, and in PayPal you saw a lot of progress taking place all the time, trying to find new ways to collaborate with partners, new ways to build a system from the bottom up. And I think that when insurance carriers will understand, okay, we need to change completely how we do underwriting, how we intake customers, how we leverage technology to our benefit, that will be a changing point. And for other industries, it already happened. For insurance, it's still didn't.
Another topic is to collaborate with insurtechs and startups. The technology industry has seen an explosion of startups and insurtechs that are using innovative technologies to disrupt traditional industries. Insurers can learn from these companies by collaborating with them to gain access to new technologies and business models. This could involve partnering with insurtechs to develop new products and services, or investing in startups to gain access to their technology and expertise. In general, there is a lot that can be learnt from other industries, especially the openness to transformation, as Raphael Schmid, Chief Specialty Officer at Aon Switzerland, states.
I think what we're doing here, as I just said, like technology, it works. Being open to transformation and being open to new angles to do things that might have worked really well for decades and even centuries, and bringing in a new component that revolutionizes certain aspects of the business. For insurance, that can be from marketing through to pricing, claims. I love talking about claims because ultimately it all leads up to that point where a client actually needs to utilize insurance and claim something. So what we're doing here, bringing insurance and technology, marrying basically those two industries, is the right way to go. So insurance should look much more towards technology, and that's why I'm happy to be here.
Mark Klein, Chief Digital Officer at Ergo Group, adds the following.
When I look at other industry, the death of production is much lower. So from my perspective, look at the automotive industry. They act more like an integrator. Look at telecommunication industry. They work with a lot of suppliers and a lot of companies together to fulfill the service for their customers. As the insurance industry, by our heritage, we even have coded our own software. We have done everything end to end with limited collaboration. So a lot of make and very limited buy. And I think here we need to open up. We have the chances to collaborate with small companies like startup, like Insurtech we see here. They come with great solutions. We can integrate and leverage their power of innovation. And we can basically tap better into the market when we open up and decrease our death of production. And that we can learn from the automotive industry, but also from the telecommunication industry.
Data. Data is at the heart of digitalization, and industries such as telecommunications and e-commerce have become experts in managing vast amounts of data. Insurers can learn from these industries by investing in data management technologies, adapting best practices for data governance and security, and using data analytics to gain insights into customer behavior and market trends. Florian Graillot, investor at Astoria VC, says the following.
Obviously, we think about the banking space because they are kind of a cousin industry from the insurance space, but I would go for the telco space. That's something that was mentioned on stage earlier today. And I think that the comparison is right because a new player, Apple, back in 2007, entered a space and kind of disrupted, I don't like the word, but disrupted the industries. And all of a sudden it created a whole industry on top of the technology. And I believe it could happen exactly the same in insurance, where we look a lot about Insurtech layer. But the truth is that I believe that third-party platform, e-commerce, marketplaces, tech giants could be the real threat in the future. Again, the tech layer, the Insurtech layer, will bridge these two worlds, the platform and ecosystem on one side, the insurance carrier on the other side. So I think there is a lot to learn from the telco space.
Also, we need to learn to adopt agile methodologies. The software development industry has embraced agile methodologies to deliver products and services more quickly and efficiently. Insurers can learn from this by adopting agile methodologies to improve their speed to market, reduce costs, and respond more quickly to changing customer needs. Overall, the insurance industry can benefit from learning from other industries that have successfully navigated the challenges of digitalization. By embracing new technologies, adopting best practices, and collaborating with insurtechs and startups, insurers can position themselves to succeed in the digital era. It has been a pleasure to share the highlights of the Insurtech Insights event 2023 in London with you. We have covered a range of topics, including the emerging trends and developments in the insurance industry, the obstacles to digitalization, and the lessons that insurers can learn from other industries. Throughout the event, we had the opportunity to meet inspirational people, including industry leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs who shared their insights and experiences with us. From these interviews and discussions, we have gained valuable knowledge about the challenges and opportunities facing the insurance industry in the digital era. As we look forward to next year's event, we can only anticipate the exciting developments that will continue to shape the industry. We hope to continue sharing with you the latest insights and updates from the world of Insurtech and look forward to seeing you at the next event. For the Digital Insurance Podcast, this was Alexander Tackenberg. That was another episode of the Digital Insurance Podcast. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, and the rest.